Hey.
Hey, Darren. Liz.
Awesome.
She just
Nice
asked
to
me to
meet
pop
you.
in. Nice to meet you.
Great. Are you, oh, we're starting right now, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and quiet my video and let you take it over.
Hey, y'all. What's up, everybody? Okay, cool. 1 second. I'm going to pull my notes up on my side. Hey. Okay, cool. Yeah, and we got the chat group open. Great. Okay, cool. So, hello, everybody. My name is Darren Jxn, and I am the CEO and co-founder of All Black Creatives. If you guys were able to attend Danielle's session, she did a lot more talking about who we are and kind of how we got started. And I'm going to kind of share more about my theme is Blackest Future in Design. We're doing a lot of work right now with trying to help bridge opportunity gaps for Black creatives in design. And one of the biggest, oh, is that Megan or is that, oh, that's me, okay. And one of the biggest gaps that we're seeing right now in the industry, specifically in like tech and marketing industries, are in design. So I wrote a lot of mine because if you guys have been to any other session that I've done or know me at all, I can be a little long-winded because I'm very, very passionate about the things that we talk about. So I wrote my chat out. But it's pretty interactive. I have a lot of questions on here. I am going to try and get back open to the chat box and messages. And so I'm going to be asking you guys questions. And if you could just drop your answers in the chat, that would be awesome. And feel free to network with each other too. I always like to drop my LinkedIn in here. I'll probably drop mine in before we leave. So I'll just jump in. So like I said, my name's Darren Jxn. I'm the CEO and co-founder of All Black Creatives. We started off as a community, and just through a lot of listening to our community, we really been able to morph what we're able to see now, which is different programs, both working directly with our community and then working on behalf of our community within mainly like tech, media, and creative agencies. So first question, I'm going to start off. This is going to be very interactive, y'all, by the way, and it's so weird not being able to see everybody's face because you guys might be giving me some type of like crazy look. But anyway, I'll just kind of go with the flow. So my first question is, how many Black, and you guys can just drop your answers in the chat room, and this will help me out too. So how many Black designers, if you don't follow us on social media, if you follow us on social media, don't answer because you guys probably already seen this. But if you don't follow us at All Black Creatives right now, then how many Black designers are there in the tech and advertising industries combined? Nationwide, yeah. Some good response. Not enough, right? Exactly. Yeah, you guys are pretty close. So, all right, so according to a study conducted by AIGA and Google in 2019, there are only 318 Black designers in the entire industry. You can go to designcensus.org. That makes up about a little less than 3% of designers. So pretty sad. And I wish I could hear your gasp because I know I gasped when I first said that. So I'm going to kind of jump in I'm going to skip over my story a little bit just for time's sake, because I'd love to have way more conversation and Q&A and get you guys jumping in. But I did start off, my background is right before this, I was the executive director of a computer programming club called Create a Loop. And we started that back in 2015. And the goal was to bridge the digital divide. And we were pretty successful. It's been really awesome. But obviously there's a lot of work to do. And through my experience in that space, I was really curious about what it would look like to start building programs through our network of all Black creatives to see what it would look like to get more Black creatives and Black techies into the tech and advertising industries. We're from St. Louis. In St. Louis, less than 1% of our advertising agencies has a Black person working for them, and tech companies are pretty much the same. So obviously really close to heart. And so we pretty much picked up and kind of went all in on this direction over the past like 2 years. And so from that experience, I've been able to meet with, and our team has been able to meet with the CEO of Instagram. Today, I just got off the phone with the CEO of IDEO, and we've met with senior levels from Microsoft, Adobe, LinkedIn, Triller, Amazon, Google, and more. And I've been able to hear the assumed, perceived, and experienced roadblocks for Black people that Black people are facing when they're trying to enter into the workforce. So I'd like to have a quick little discussion. If you guys can, you can drop this in and DM your responses here. Why do you think that there are so few Black designers in this industry? What do you feel like is the main roadblocks? If all these main companies who have literally billions of dollars and thousands of people, what do you feel like is the reason it's so hard to get Black talent into the industry? Let's say Black designers very specifically. Computers. A lot of Black people have computers, but I feel you. Culture fits, lack of exposure, yep. MacBook, sorry. Good, gotcha. Yeah, haven't had the advantages in tech, barriers to entry, barriers to access further down, not enough exposure in design specifically. That's interesting. Different socializing tactics. Yeah, so there are definitely plenty of reasons, and more answers coming in. There are plenty of reasons why, and I will say that it isn't because there isn't enough talent, which we obviously constantly hear. I saw somebody say the culture fit piece, and that's definitely been proven to be one of the issues. But really, it's basically how systems have been designed to specifically select how we find, onboard, develop, and then elevate talent within these companies. So a lot of it isn't even the fact that none of it really is that there isn't the talent. I'm going to share a story of somebody who I just interviewed recently. But it's not that there isn't talent. It's really about where we're finding people and then how the systems that are in place to really develop people. This is going to be very informative. I'm going to try and use as many statistics and things as possible. But also, hopefully we can hopefully you guys enjoy that. I enjoy that. So it's a different part of our brain. So these systems that were designed to really select, like if we look at schools are like our number one. Schools and programs, even like design labs are our methods. These are our ways to get into these jobs. And so these systems that have been designed have been very specifically set up to select students who went to specific schools, went to specific programs, attended specific internships, and then they get placed into specific jobs. So many of our Black students find themselves, even if they are in any of these spaces, as the only ones, because a lot of us don't have the networks to even get into these spaces or even know where to start. Or the companies that are looking for talent aren't looking for talent where we exist. And their market maps are very, very specific. Like for the longest time, it's been Ivy League schools where they've been looking for talent. And now they've diversified more and more, and they're starting to diversify more and more. But what role do you all feel like schools play in helping to place Black students in design? That's my next question. Should I drop that? Should I start? I'll start dropping these questions in here. But don't judge my grammar because these are my notes, yeah. Partnerships are important, very much so. Mentorship and connections to decision makers. There's no right or wrong answer in this too. I'm just really curious on what role you all feel schools play? Mentorship and networking, yep. They don't really help, but they should create a space for community and direction to go, yeah. Connections and direction, access to design spaces, mentorship and exposure. Yeah, so you guys can keep dropping answers in too. I'll keep jumping so that we can keep the ball rolling. But according to Tracy Moore, who I got to meet at a last event that we spoke at with Adobe, she's a digital media arts professor at Prairie View A&M, which is a rural HBCU in Texas. And she said that through her own findings, because she was very curious, why was it that there were so few of Black designers in these spaces? And a lot of times they say that there's not enough schools that teach it. And she found 52, very specifically 52 Black HBCUs that teach design very specifically. But what her other part of the finding was, which is you can compare this to even national research, that a lot of these companies only look at 3 HBCUs, including Hampton, Spelman, and Morehouse. So it really isn't that there's a talent shortage, and a lot of people for years, literally up until more recently, with the more recent conversations happening around race and and the gaps and discrimination, it's more of an opportunity gap that there's not the opportunities to pull people, that there's not opportunities that are pulling people from pools of communities that they're already existing in. And so there's not opportunities for people who may not have a traditional background, or who may have not had parents in this space, or aunts and uncles in this space, or siblings in this space. So for these first generation, especially specifically for Black creatives, there's not always been a space for them to be able to prove themselves to these companies, or to be able to have opportunities to even engage, I think a lot of you all said, even meet people, or know exactly where to get connected to decision makers. So people who would help hire them, but even early on, how to mentor them through the program. So quick case study, quick story. Last week I met with Tim Allen. He is a Black designer. He's the VP of design for Airbnb, which is a huge role in the tech world. As you guys, if you're not in the tech world yet, you'll find. And he started off, this was the dopest story of my life. I loved hearing it. It was super inspirational. We'll release it on a podcast later this year. We got a campaign, His Future, heard it first right here. He started sharing his story with me, and I was like, wait a second. Bro, you started off in high school as a designer, as he would say, in high school as a designer. And his whole path started by airbrushing, y'all. Airbrush. Airbrushing merchandise that he would sell to his friends. So I remember low key, I don't know, some of y'all probably too young. I'm kind of young. He's older than me, but I still remember getting airbrushed t-shirts, getting airbrushed shoes, super throwback Thursday right now. And he started off airbrushing swag and selling it to his friends at school. And he moved from selling airbrush and getting airbrush out there to submitting his airbrush design portfolio. Okay, so this is just content he created through airbrushing to design school. And from there, from going through design school, which he accredits a lot of his teachers who he was the only Black student, but he had a few teachers who really took him under his wing. Yeah, airbrush jean jackets, exactly. He took a lot of his, he had teachers who took him under his wing, and he went from airbrushing to literally designing video games, then going to work for IBM, then going to work for Nike, then going to work for Microsoft, and now he's at Airbnb. So from airbrush to Airbnb, I was like, bro, this is blowing my mind. And it was not a typical traditional path. A lot of times people believe that there's all these other, there's all these perceived roadblocks a lot of times, but in reality for him, it was like managers investing time into him. It wasn't that he was like uniquely educated and he went through Harvard elite school and then did X, Y, and Z. He went to a basic design school where he submitted his airbrush content, and then from there just kept taking opportunities to opportunities and opportunities. And you'll hear his story and how he just continued to push himself how to learn. I want to jump into a next part of the conversation, which is about like recruiters. I don't know how much you all know about recruiters, but recruiters, obviously, they help people find jobs. So what role do you guys feel like recruiters, and the reason why I bring it up, even to his story very uniquely, he had a recruiter take him from his game design job and get him a design lead job at IBM. Now, if you guys know IBM, it's like the techie of the techie world, right? It's like I was like, bro, how'd you go from Nike to Microsoft? Then I heard the other part of the story. I was like, bro, how'd you go from game design to IBM? And so IBM, yeah, he had a human recruiter. So, yeah, and I'm asking about human recruiter. Sorry, I could put the question back in. So he had a recruiter take him from a game design to IBM to be a lead designer there. So that basically, because he had IBM was working on a technology at the time, like to do organizational management, and so it was just really awesome for that recruiter to like find that. And typically, recruiters' backgrounds are in having to understand what the landscape is of talent and where to find talent. So as far as like these people who are almost the gatekeepers to where people are able to get on how people are able to get jobs and where they find jobs. Great question, Antoinette. What role do you feel recruiters have as these like gatekeepers at play within this opportunity gap? I know we're getting into a lot of details right here. I've never used a recruiter. Yeah, many need to reimagine the ways they source and evaluate talent. They decide who gets in front of hiring panels and who gets opportunities 100%. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of these companies, if you look at any of the major companies, they are all using recruiters. A lot of them have entry-level recruiters who recruit like junior levels to like director level talents. And then a lot of times they use, if you're not familiar with the recruiting background, what's called executive search firms, okay? So the top 10 search firms in the world are pretty much ran by older white men who recruit from pipelines that they built networks in. That's how recruiters like find talent. They build these strong networks. They have these talent pipelines, and that's where most of them have been able to depend on it. So they go to schools that they've attended. So that's how we get the school pipeline. Organizations they were a part of. So you could think of like even from sports or like speaking organizations that teach you how to be better speakers. It could just all different types of clubs, like coding clubs, this camp, this, that. And they pull from these recruiting pipelines that they've been able to build internally, and then now they're using more so LinkedIn as a huge way. So if you're not on LinkedIn, y'all better get on LinkedIn. If you're looking for a job, they use LinkedIn to really help identify talent and get people into these jobs. But since 64% of LinkedIn users are white and 6% are black, it shows you how diverse the pipeline still is. LinkedIn is literally the biggest way that most of these recruiters and search firms are like finding talent outside of their internal network. So if 64% of LinkedIn users are white and 6% are black, that shows you how big the opportunity gap is. And it also says, get y'all friends on LinkedIn. So not too long ago, whenever we started this journey with All Black Creatives, we had a conversation with Marnie. I think Danielle probably talked about it before, but she was the CEO of Instagram at the time. She's a VP at Facebook now. And she told us that every time she invites a firm in to talk about how to get more diverse talent, because Instagram, Facebook, and most of Silicon Valley had very few black people working there. They all had people who would come in, who would present their their case studies, and she said none of them were Black, and most of them didn't have connections to Black communities, and even more so times had less than she even did. So now companies are making huge strides, so I don't want to stay there. Companies are making huge strides towards diversifying the workforce. Facebook and Google have committed to 30% of their leaders to be Black in the next 5 years, while Microsoft committed to doubling its Black leadership over the next few years. And so without getting into like all of the other pieces that go into like what actually keeps people out of jobs, which is like biases, coded languages, and job applications and interviews, it's important to also know that white men, there's a statistic that says that white men would see 60% of themselves in an application and still apply for it, while minorities, especially women, would feel that they need to see 100% of themselves in an application before they apply for a job. So a lot of it really is also just kind of how we're being, what's expected of us, how we're being trained to think about ourselves, and then the confidence to be able to push past some of these things. Exactly, conditioning, that's a great word to put behind that. So companies are also choosing to remove, a lot of companies are jumping in this, remove where you went to college or what your degree is in from the application process. And we are currently talking to a lot of different of these companies at the executive level. And some of them are even starting to experiment with hiring people based off of skills and competency, not based off of experience. So not just not education, but also not experience. Literally, they're saying like, what can you do right now based off of your current skills and your current competencies? Those efforts, along with the work from home model, will undoubtedly create more opportunities for Black designers to have jobs. So assuming that there's limitless opportunities provided by these companies and more than enough Black designers to fulfill these opportunities, what do you assume will be the next roadblock to having Black people into the workforce, Black designers very specifically? DM your responses. I know that was a weird way to say that question. I'm gonna type it in there and you guys will get the gist. What do you assume is gonna be the next roadblocks helping Black people get in leadership roles? Yep. Yeah, and then let's say that they get in the jobs. There's gonna be all these other roadblocks too, right? Go ahead, DM. Lack of diversity, yep. Dynamics within teams, yep. Oh no, I lost it. Fitting into the workplace clicks, yep. Lack of community, yep. People might not take them serious as a leader. Yo, that's so real. I did not have that in my notes, but that's so true. That was such a good observation, I'll say. Pay, biases, yes. Okay, I'm gonna jump in. All right, so a few statistics. This is from the Ford Foundation that they did they did a report in 2017. I'm losing you guys on time. Oh my God, see, this is why I can't do these type of talks, y'all. 30 minutes is not enough for me, low-key. All right, so nearly 1/4 of underrepresented men and women of color experienced stereotyping twice as the rate as white and Asian men and women, and almost 1/3 of underrepresented women of color were passed over for a promotion more than any other group. The next stat says the more stereotyping and bullying experience, the shorter the length of time that employees will remain at a company, and that unfair treatment is twice as likely to be cited as a factor for driving turnover than being recruited away by a better opportunity. Literally, 38% of people quit versus, oh, I only got 6 minutes. Okay, 38% of people quit because of being mistreated versus 22%. So I'm just gonna summarize and say culture is the next roadblock that Black people are facing and minorities are facing in these spaces is culture. I'm gonna actually, I have like so much I would love to share, you guys. Like I said, I'm like super passionate about this, but I'd rather jump in and do Q&A. Maybe you guys have some questions for me. All Black Creatives is helping to bridge this opportunity gap by working with employers and working with our community to build both pipelines of talent, doing mapping of where talent exists and working directly with some of these recruiters along with executives to finding ways that we can bridge the opportunity gap and get more Black people specifically in leadership positions. So that's about us, you guys. I would love to share so much more. So you guys can add me on LinkedIn. In the meantime, can I get any Q&A? How do I pop that up? Megan, could you help me maybe?
Oh, yes.
On that. Okay. I'm sorry, you all.
Were people putting notes in the chat pod?
How do you change culture? How can we join All Black Creatives? Okay, great. Go to allblackcreatives.com and there's a membership application. How do you change culture? Oh my gosh, you gotta work. It's literally working with teams, right? Teams dictate. If you look at some of these bigger companies, it is really, really, really difficult. Okay, it is really, really difficult to change an entire organization, but if you change it one team at a time, that's how we can change a company as a whole. They say like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So, can you give us some pointers to get recruiters? Yeah, Antoinette, will you reach out to us? I would love to help you with that. We're launching a mentorship program this year, specifically supporting Black designers. If you are on this call, you'd like to support with that, let me know. My email, I'm gonna give you guys my email at All Black Creatives. It's pretty easy. And y'all can also feel free to send me questions. We can do a Google chat. But yeah, so how can we join All Black Creatives? I'm a current member of Design Lab. Please go to our website, allblackcreatives.com, and you can sign up to become a member. I love this. I wish I could see y'all faces too. Trying to break into UX as an inclusive, non-traditional designer. What's some advice such as marketing yourself? Okay, cool. Well, one is get on LinkedIn, right? Because that's where people are doing all these searches right now. As an inclusive, non-traditional designer, I wish I could jump into more of that. Okay, join the roundtable. Join the roundtable. Where's the roundtable, Liz? Liz, I was at the chat and I learned and everything, and now I can't. Oh no, I'm gonna cancel that.
You're in there. Sorry, Megan might have stepped away. So if you're in here, we have a few minutes. Just come on in. Come into the round table here. Click the little button it's the blue button if you just want to show your faces and be like, hey, I've been talking to you this whole time. Here's my face. Xavier, ask it face to face. Feel free.
Yeah, Xavier, what's up, everybody? Okay, cool. Bryce, I'd like for you to get on so I can understand more about what you're asking. I would love to get feedback for that, especially on marketing yourself. It's like my favorite thing in the
round table. So
what is the round
up at the top?
This is
and it's like a little blue button that says share video and audio. If you click that, it will join you on this black screen with us. Sierra.
Oh, I think our community manager's on here too. She can answer your question about what happens next for you. But you'll be invited to a whole lot of events and stuff. Okay. Sierra, yo.
Well, we only have a minute left anyways, but we'll see if it works. We'll see who else.
We'll see if it works. I just clicked her face.
I wasn't trying to actually add it. I just wanted to know for future reference. But I also wanted to know what happened. Xavier's piggyback off him. What happens next? But I saw you follow up on it, so disregard.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And then also, if you're going to be looking at any time getting involved, are you a UX designer?
I'm currently going to join the Design Lab next month. That's when my program starts.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Okay, cool. Well, we're launching, I think in Design Lab, if I'm not mistaken, you'll get a mentor there. And then we're also doing mentorship programming. So we can support on that. But also we partner with Adobe pretty often now on doing some extracurricular activities. And so they have some really, really cool programming as far as design challenges. And so on our end, you'll be invited to multiple events. You'll get updates whenever we're launching our mentorship program later this year. And then we also do regular like fireside chats and roundtables just like this.
And I just followed you on Instagram. Are you pretty active on there with like keeping that posted or what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we post all of our events and everything in stories. Brianna is on right now in the chat room. She's our community manager, and so she also will reach out to anybody who signs up directly.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
so we'll stay invested into all of y'all.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna now. Okay.
Okay, cool. Nice to meet you, Sierra.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, you guys, I think that we're all out of time. Do we have local chapters around the US? We are a digital community, and so we are all around the US already. So part of our story is we've had somebody, few different people, whenever they move to like different cities, they reach out like, yo, do you know any Black people in this city I'd like to get connected with? And then, so we do it pretty much organically. But yes, we're all around the US, we're all around the world. Our Black creatives literally exist digitally, so we're everywhere. And we do IRL things when COVID isn't, a thing. Awesome. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. This was awesome. I really wish I could have shared so much more with you. Sorry I didn't. Hey, from South Africa, what's up? All right, so I really wish we could have shared more with you guys. But if you stay connected with All Black Creatives, I'm thinking about maybe putting this on like doing the same type of chat on something else, maybe on Instagram Live. So, all right, I will talk to you all soon. Yes, thank you guys for your support. And reach out, become a member, refer your friends, follow us on Instagram, become an ally, all of that. Talk to y'all soon.